Welcome to the Coaching Collective podcast. Today we are joined by Stu O'Brien. Stu is the president, well, the founder,
Yeah, founder.
founder of NBA Australia, a natural bodybuilding association. Would say it's based in Queensland, correct?
Yeah, based in Queensland, but
Yeah.
yeah, shows all over the East Coast.
Yeah. So, for my personal experience with Stu is what I like most about it is the integrity of the federation and yourself as well. So just very trying to do everything properly without bias, how things should be run. And obviously across the last couple of years, man, I've seen things obviously get better and better, which has been nice.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the shows was 2022. I had my brother and my partner do it, and as another client as well. And even the comparison of that compared to 2023, it was like, this is
Yeah.
coming along nicely. And it's probably like the federation in which for the natural competitors that I see as the future, eh?
Yeah. So yeah, we're growing quite well. We're definitely the fastest growing natural fed. So
Mm.
yeah, and Victoria's been a big part of that. So yeah, you may have so the show before the one your partner and brother did,
Mm.
the first show post COVID was a 20 competitor show. The
Yeah.
one, the most recent one was 150 competitors.
Okay.
So in 2.5 years, we've done that growth in Victoria. So
Mm.
yeah, it's gone quite well. So
Do, do you notice a difference between the uptake for the like local to you, because obviously you're in Brisbane compared to Melbourne, for example?
um, well, Brisbane's actually the hardest state for natural comps
Yeah.
because there's there's 18 different comps here.
Yeah.
Like there's that many, every fed, like there's a lot of one state feds that are based in Queensland.
Yeah.
So yeah, Queensland's actually the toughest market. We're still the second biggest to ICN and we are still growing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the uptake in Victoria has actually been as good, if not slightly better than Queensland,
Mm.
just because there's less options.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Realistically, in Victoria as well, it's either NBA, AMB, or ICN. Like, not much else really gets any traction.
yeah. So
Yeah. But obviously IFBB if we're talking
yeah,
untested. It's funny now that I say that because like even your PCAs and whatnot, they don't get that traction.
yeah, no, it's the people want decent sized comps.
Yeah.
So yeah, the smaller shows still exist, but they're usually in $1,000 shitty little venues that don't have good sound, good lighting. You know, they cut all the corners and they don't run good comps. They just exist for the sake of existing.
Mm. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
agree. Because like, but I even heard as well was I had an inquiry from Rockhampton up north.
yep,
Um, and she was talking about IMBA, and I was sort of like, oh, IMBA is a bit of an afterthought. But then I came to realize that IMBA is very different north compared to down south.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's still quite small, but
Mm.
yeah, and basically only exists in Queensland.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that makes a lot
they,
more sense. Yeah.
so
Because
yeah,
I went on to tell my brother, and she running me through how it is internationally in comparison. And I was like, the same as PCA though. PCA international is huge.
yeah,
UNBF as well doesn't have the traction in Australia. Has significant traction overseas.
yeah, yeah. So a lot of those feds, and they're all running one show in Queensland,
Mm.
and so people that want to go to those international shows will do that. But
Mm.
if you don't want to go to those international shows, they don't necessarily look at those feds.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So we've gotten sidetracked here, but yeah, give us an
Yeah.
introduction about yourself, and let's go from there.
Um,
Introduce yourself and what got you to involving yourself in what you are today.
yeah. So I've been in bodybuilding more than 15 years, competed for 5 years myself, then got into judging with a different fed. That then led into I became the state head judge and was helping the promoter run the fed in Queensland.
What was
Um,
that? Sorry.
so that was A and B.
Cool. Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, so and we were involved with AMB for quite a while, and then 2019 AMB had changed hands. The new owner and us didn't see eye to eye. We didn't agree on a lot of things.
Mm.
So um, the Queensland guy and I, plus two guys in New South Wales, decided to set up our own Fed,
Yep.
and that's how NBA was born.
Cool. And this is your full time. This is full time for you now, isn't it?
I'm full time. There were three other founders involved. They've all since moved on to doing other things. They're not involved anymore. So it's now my full time gig. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one to do solo as well, I bet.
Yeah. So definitely, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and I'm organising shows in 5 different states. Traveling to all of them for workshops, the comps, etc. So there's a lot that goes into it, but it keeps it standardised, and that's one of the biggest things that does separate NBA from all the other natural feds, at least. The way we judge in Queensland is the same as how we judge in Sydney, the same as how we judge in Melbourne. So if you've got an online client in Queensland, you don't have to go and find out what the NBA criteria for Queensland is, because it's the same. You know what you're working with. You know it's going to be the same style show, same judging criteria, etc., across the board. So
It's interesting you say that, because I've always had trouble like identifying the criteria between the states, but NBA is like the one where I know what I'm going to expect. Because you actually have a target to work towards.
And I'm pretty firm on keeping that target the same. So that's one of my biggest things I'm firm on, that doesn't change, is the criteria is the criteria. If someone's too good for the criteria and in the wrong division, they're not going to win. So which often you see in some feds, someone's in the wrong division, too muscular for the criteria, too lean for the criteria, but they're still winning and placing. I will mark them down if they're too much for the criteria, and make sure they're not then giving you guys as coaches and competitors a wrong idea of what the criteria changing.
Yeah, because even when I came up north for the show, there was good indication of what to expect later. Yeah, so that was nice. But because obviously, like, especially with some of the other feds, without naming names, you do have that big disparity, and it makes it very difficult. Client, and it's pretty common as well, like you said, they will often award the best in the lineup, when that might not necessarily be the most aligned with the criteria for the lineup.
And that's something I hate, where they say you judge to what turns up on the day. That's bullshit. You judge to the criteria. Whoever's closest to the criteria wins. Whoever's next closest to that person is second. And moving down. Like, if you get a heap of people that don't fit the criteria turn up, you don't change the criteria. You still judge to the criteria.
No, I 100% agree. Because I've seen it in, I think the biggest thing you see in that is a crossover between sports and bikini/fitness.
Sports and fitness, especially in other feds, there seems to be no separation in the criteria, just the clothing.
Have you seen, and I've seen before that you'll actually look at the top 5 lineup, for example, in a sports lineup, and the difference between like second, third, and fourth in terms of their body shapes, conditioning, whatever else, is like completely different. Like, there's no linearity. And I feel like it almost makes, for me, like the way I look at sports, nothing wrong with someone doing sports, but when I've seen that in specific federations, it sort of makes me think it's nice, because if someone doesn't win their desired category, they can jump into that, and it's like a lucky dip,
Yeah,
and they can go home with a medal, and it's like bonus. You know what I mean? Which is
yeah,
not right. It's not right.
yeah. It's not right, but
Yeah.
it's what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's like, cool. Well, you didn't win you wanted to do fitness, you didn't do well there, but like, hey, in sports, you might just coincidentally win a gold medal. And I've seen it happen.
yeah,
Um, Obviously they're never overly excited about it like they would be if they won the category they desired to be in. But yeah, you get my
yeah,
gist. Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's cool. So yeah, man, what was the driving force, I guess, behind getting this going outside of being affiliated in the industry and being a competitor yourself?
So yeah, the big one was essentially seeing all these things that weren't right happening and wanting to do it properly, make things right, and have a federation that stood for the right values. So
Yeah, no, and that's been done well. And I think one of the things that's quite enjoyable about the NBA shows is the fact that it's a show.
yeah,
You got like your smoke, you got the crazy lights, like you got the walkouts and everything like that.
yeah.
The one thing you don't have routines for males.
So we do have men have optional routines.
So it's optional.
So it's not compulsory.
Yeah.
So, but and it's a division judged separately on its own.
Okay,
So
so you don't
judged,
have like so there's not but there's still not a routine. So like if you were to enter bodybuilding, there's still no routine though. You'd have to
not
go.
yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyone who enters bodybuilding can choose to do the routine
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah.
It's just judged separately.
Is
So,
that something you consider bringing in like a
um,
permanent place similar to like IFBB?
the hard thing is, especially in the natural feds,
Mm.
forcing some of these new people to do a routine,
Yeah.
they just wouldn't do it.
Mm.
So, we've kept it there for the people who want to do it,
Mm.
but it's generally the more experienced competitors, the pros who actually want to do it.
Yeah.
So it was actually at the most recent comp, it was the last division before our open bodybuilding. We had
Yeah.
about 10 people do routines,
Mm.
and it was amazing. So it was
Well,
really good, but it was towards the end of the day. So yeah, but seeing people do routines makes up more people want to do them.
mm.
But forcing people to do them, it doesn't work in the current environment.
Mm.
So
I find it interesting that people wouldn't want to do them.
yeah,
My take, I feel like it's probably not the funnest part of the day. It's probably the most intimidating part of the day, but it's the opportunity to sort of showcase it, get some pretty cool footage to sort of keep up your arsenal for when you
yeah,
need it or want it.
yeah,
It also makes all the posing practice, I think, a little bit more fun. Like I was shit scared to do my routine when I first competed, but
yeah,
without it, I would have felt a bit like, I don't know, maybe I'm different. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's that old school mentality as
yeah,
such. So
yeah.
but a lot of competitors don't want to do them, and if we forced it, they'd just choose other options.
Yeah. Interesting. I'd be interested to see what my clients would think of that actually, whether they prefer it or not.
Yeah,
I think just the fact that they have to grasp posing in general is probably stressful enough.
yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. No, sweet. So yeah, what would you consider like the NBA's most, I guess we've got here distinguishing features, but
yeah,
like what would differentiate it? I feel like we've answered this, but anyway,
yeah.
what would differentiate it from the other federations?
Yeah. Other than what I said about the
Yeah.
judging,
Yeah.
um, it is a show, like you said. So
Yeah.
because we've set this from the ground up, we've
Mm.
been able to pick the best from every other fed, things we like, things we don't like,
Mm.
and set it up as the best combination of bodybuilding, entertainment, a good show, and that's you know that's what separates us. It is a good show that's judged well, that you get good stage time.
Yeah, no, and you definitely do get the good stage time. They're long. They can be long days because of that, but
Yeah,
there's nothing worse than when someone's puts in all this work and it's like on and off, on
yeah,
and off, and it's like pushed to the side. I don't know. Yeah, because obviously even some of the more popular federations are quite quick like that.
yeah. And
Um,
it's one of those, like I always say, a well judged show never runs on time.
yeah, Oh, of course.
If
Yeah.
you're rushing judging and making mistakes,
Mm.
you might run a show perfectly on time,
Yeah.
but you'll find there are a lot of other problems. Yeah, and I'd prefer a well-judged show that runs slightly late, that does give everyone their fair stage time,
Yeah.
than, and you'll also quite often see, in some shows, they ran late in the morning
Mm.
and then they rush everyone in the afternoon
Mm.
to still finish on time. Yeah.
Oh.
If I
Mm.
run late in the morning, I'm running late in the afternoon because I'm not stealing stage time from the people in the afternoon
Mm.
just to make up for running late in the morning.
Well, there's actually a recent show where they pulled the whole morning forward because they were moving faster than they thought, and they thought, cool, we can make up time here.
Yeah.
And then as a result, like a couple of my clients had to go on stage like 45 minutes before they thought they were.
Yeah.
So they're coming to grab them and they're like, all right, time to go on. And they're like, oh, but it's 12:20. Like,
Yeah.
this show's not meant to be till 1:10. Like, no, we're running early. Let's go. No pumps, no oil, nothing. There was about 6 girls in the first one just standing there like,
Yeah.
what just happened? But I was going to say before as well, I'm not going to name names for any other feds, but I say to a couple of the boys that have competing, if you can't capture in this specific fed, if you can't capture judges' attention in your front relax, your back relax, and your 2/4 turns, which they'll probably churn through in 30 seconds, you're done.
Yeah.
Like, which is crap because, like, for example, I've got a couple of the boys who are really, really good with like their side chest or like their abs and whatever pose it might be.
Yeah.
And it's just sad to think that they chew through it so fast that they won't even see that. And before they know it, they're already going to be outside that top 5.
Yeah.
Them to push back up, it's like they have to really wow them, which is, it's also annoying too, because if you get up there, you get a bit nervous, you make a bad shot, like, because
Yeah.
it's such a quick judging process, it's like you're already gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that longer process needs to be appreciated, and people need to appreciate, yeah, like the longer running show doesn't, like, I guess the people that are spectating never love a long running show.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the downside
Except when
to
their
it
friends
is,
on, or their
yeah.
whatever it might be. Yeah. It's like, yeah, keep them on forever. But when it's the people they don't know, it's like, come on next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, that's cool. That's cool. So just, I guess, for anyone listening, man, what would you say people can expect from competing at this show? And actually, you know what, before I go into that, actually, I just want to go over this just sort of to start with. NBA, obviously, you do the pro cards. You do one pro card season A, one pro card season B,
Yeah.
correct? Each category. You're not running any. You don't have intentions at this stage of running an intra-year show.
Um, I will look at it in 2025, but
Yeah.
yeah, not 2024.
Yeah. So with that, you deliver that one pro card. So how does that tie in with other federations for pro shows and stuff like that?
Yeah. So with NBA, we only allow the pro card to the overall champion at the national show of each season. So we're not giving out pro cards at state shows, regional shows, like lollipops, etc. Yeah, the best of the best each season gets the pro card, and then we do have a pro show each season for them to compete in. What we do in the mid-year season when that comes about, I haven't even thought that far ahead yet. But yeah, the NBA Pro card or the NBA Pro shows, we accept pro cards from any other federation. So if you're an ANB, ICN, INBA, WNBF, all those other feds pro, you can go straight into our pro show, compete as a pro in our pro show. Essentially our pro show is then the best of the best.
Yeah.
So you win our pro show, you've beaten people from all feds. So yeah, and that's the idea of it, is having that best of the best.
Yeah. Yeah, no, cool. So is it, when you do have an NBA pro card, is there affiliations with any other federations to potentially travel or anything like that?
At this stage, no, but yeah, we're looking at running our own international shows as
Cool.
well. So I've got some things happening with that.
Mm.
And then, yeah, potentially an affiliation in the future. Yeah, it's looking for an international affiliation. It's hard to find one with the same values.
Yeah.
So, my goal has been to be the best in Australia, and then finding an international fed from there. But yeah, starting to look at some other options, doing that ourselves as well.
Cool. Have you got any countries in mind?
Um, yes, but can't say yet.
Yeah, okay. I thought that would be the answer.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, you need to obviously make sure there's a reasonable uptake there and like travel proximity because here would be a
yeah,
biggest market. So
yeah.
that's
So
tough. Yeah,
yeah,
because I was actually speaking to someone the other week. Apparently, the Korea and Japan shows are like another level.
yeah,
How
yeah,
long? Yeah, this was the IFBB circuit he was talking about, but
yeah,
still, like the way he spoke about it, it was like it's not bad. That's not a bad call.
yeah.
Like it sounds like a shout.
Yeah, yeah. Those are the sort of things that, yeah, something like that could easily happen.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Do you
thinking
find
outside the box a little bit as well.
Would you find getting uptake in those kind of countries would be difficult because of language barriers and stuff like that, or do you think it would be doable?
I think it'll be doable.
Yeah. You just need to find the right local people to help you, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. No, cool. So, yeah, I guess we sort of touched on this already, but what's the future of NBA looking like at the moment?
Yeah. So the growth this year, we
Yeah.
season A we're adding South Australia,
Yeah.
and season B I'll be doing a Perth show as well. So yeah, so the future is being truly national, and
Yeah.
then from there looking at some international options.
Yeah. Because it is. I have heard that it's much harder to get the uptake in the WA and the SA. I
Yeah,
had a couple of inquiries from WA. It's like another planet, man.
yeah. It is completely
Mm.
separated from the East Coast, and they
Yeah.
but yeah, and the hardest thing, especially for me, is travel. Like
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
an 8 hour flight each way if I'm
The
going over
8 hours.
from Brisbane to Perth. Yeah,
Really?
nearly 8 hour flight.
I had no idea. I thought it was like five.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh, I could be wrong. Maybe it's six, not eight.
It
But
might be six, but
yeah, six,
yeah,
seven.
eight sounds crazy because it's four from here.
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
must be six. Yeah,
Yeah. And
so yeah,
even four's enough to be honest with you.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, 6 hour flight each way. You know, the cost of that to do a workshop, to do the comp, etc. It's been in the difficult category, but
Mm.
yeah, I've had a fair bit of inquiry from people over there wanting us to come. So
Yeah.
yeah, gonna actually do it.
Yeah. Do you notice there's a greater popularity of like bodybuilding in any states over others?
Um, Queensland, Victoria are definitely the most popular.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but yeah, there's no massive difference. Like the size of the state, in shows the popularity of the show.
Yeah. Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
New South Wales is still very popular. It's just slightly down on Queensland and Victoria.
Mm. I must admit, I do find travel proximity for Sydney a little bit more difficult than other states.
Yeah,
It's just not convenience. I think it just comes down to cost convenience, and then like when you're there, like it's a little bit harder to get around and enjoy yourself.
yeah,
Because we have to travel to New South Wales start of April, and I'm just like, oh.
yeah,
Um, we did the ICN show in Rudy Hill, and Rudy Hill is
yeah. That's
sorry for anyone from there. It's
yeah.
yeah.
I've been to a few shows out there. The first time I went there, it was a $200 taxi from the airport.
Uh, it was 106, 130 from just in the CBD.
Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
we had a maxi taxi from the airport to Rudy Hill, and yeah, spent just under $200. So yeah,
Yeah. Nah, because we had a client doing that, and she stayed in Rudy Hill. She was
yeah,
from Melbourne. And she said to stay with it, but we're like, nah, we'll stay in the city. It's not that far of a drive, and it was a far drive.
yeah.
Yeah, so that definitely made it a little bit more difficult. Obviously, it's always fun traveling to the national shows. The upcoming national show is Melbourne.
So season A is Melbourne, and then season B is Queensland.
Mm. Yeah. Do you choose Melbourne for a reason? Just
Um,
be
well,
obviously this year as well.
the season A was just the way the calendar fell with venues.
Yeah.
That was the availability. That was the one that worked. I always work with the ICN promoters before announcing the calendar to make sure our dates don't clash. And once we got all our dates together, that was just the one that worked the best. So yeah, I try and rotate it around between the East Coast.
Yeah.
It also just then depends on venue availability.
Yeah. And then I was going to add to that as well. Venue-wise, what are we looking at for season A? For anyone listening?
So the Melbourne one's the same venue again.
As well. So someone told me you can move from the Clock Tower.
Yeah. No, so yeah,
You told me you really like it.
Yeah, I like it. We're probably going to outgrow it sometime soon.
Yeah, the theatre's not very big.
Yeah.
The theater is, it's just, it's not that the theater's not big, it's just that you can't stand.
Yeah. That's the only downside to it, is there's no side standing area where you can sort of stand to the side and have a chat. But outside that, it's, the stage is great, the lighting's great. It is a really good venue for that side of things. Backstage will it will be what we'll outgrow. If the show doubled in size again, there's probably just not enough room backstage for everyone to get ready.
Yeah, because the backstage is just that little bit more. The only thing I must admit I don't like about the venue is how secluded the backstage area is compared to like where the spectators are.
Yeah.
I just sort of transfer between them, because obviously some of the competitors like to see their families and stuff, whether that be in between, or you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it is that little bit separated.
Yeah.
It is a true theatre where it's designed for, people doing a show to be going in separately, going out separately.
Oh, it's how it should be.
Yeah.
Because I did find as well is it the Chandler Theatre up north?
Yep.
I quite like, obviously you've mentioned it's not practical for the way you run shows with the lights.
Yeah.
That's nice. I like how that is, even though it is secluded, there's enough room out there, and the theatre's huge. That's a huge theatre, man. Yeah, I like that venue.
Yeah, no, Chandler's a great venue. So
admittedly, actually, the venue that you had the show last season was quite good as well.
The Edmund Rice, that's
the school.
So
hard to get up to, but
that's the only problem is parking's not great for that one.
Very nice school.
But once you know where you're going, it's good.
It's a school, right?
So the hospital that's behind it paid for the theatre to have the car park for the hospital.
So it works out okay for everyone, really. No, that's cool. No, awesome. So I guess when it comes down to the next question was just around the judging. Obviously you're keeping it consistent in between shows because we have the same judging panels from show to show. So I'm assuming you have that dedicated judging panel and you fly them in and out?
So I fly in and out everywhere.
I've
got trained judges in every state. So for a judge to judge with us, they actually go through training with me. So how that looks is I'll use you as an example, even though it's not a good example because you're a coach. But you come to me and say you want to judge, I'll sit at another Feds show with you and judge the show as if we were judging an NBA show, talk through 4 or 5 divisions, see that you are on a similar wavelength and do get it. If we go through that stage and I think that you would do okay, you then do two to 3 shows as a trainee judge. Where you sit on the judging table, judge fully yourself, but your scores aren't counted. If you do that up to standard, then you become a trained judge and actually start judging shows. Most shows, so for a national show, I'll fly at least one person from each state in. So there'll be a Victorian, a Queensland, a New South Wales, a Tasmanian judge, and myself. So yeah, again, just to keep that consistency. So, but yeah, all our judges go through that training. And if someone is a coach and has a couple of clients, I make them step off the table when their own clients are on stage.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you did become a judge and you had two clients in a show, it's not just don't judge this division but sit there, because that person could then still talk to the person either side of them and still sway the judging panel. It's physically get up off the table, walk far enough away that you can't communicate with the table, and someone else will sit in for that division. So that's the clear things with our judging.
Do the judges that you typically get, are they typically ex-coaches or?
Ex-coaches, pro competitors,
Yeah.
just people I've known that have been through in the sport for a long time as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, but often, yeah, like coaches do have a good eye, or good coaches have a good eye. There are some that don't.
Yeah.
But you've got to keep that bias or perceived bias out of it as well. So yeah, it's balancing that.
And have you ever had any complaints about the judging?
Very rarely. Like, when someone complains about their placing, generally I'll give them the reasons why they placed where they did.
Yeah.
And, that's as far as it goes. So, never get every single person happy with the judging, because, it's a subjective sport. You can look at things 15 different ways, but in most cases, once I explain to someone how it's been judged, they'll go, "Oh yeah, I can see that. I understand. That's great."
Yeah. And do you find the bikinis are hardest to judge out of all the categories?
But I used to think that.
Yeah.
It's the more experience I've had, the easier it is. So,
yeah, of course. Yeah, because obviously a lot of the feds, I know that they struggle with that.
Yeah. Because we keep it consistent as well, it's not as hard. It's not a changing criteria each year. So I don't find it any harder than any other division now.
Yeah. And to clarify as well, you don't change the criteria as the time goes on either.
No.
Stays flatline, because there's been obviously instances where one year you're like, yep, sweet, this is what they want, and the next year it's like, oh, like, okay, it's not like that anymore. Unless
there's a new category that comes in, which then might change something. But if I was changing criteria in any category, it would be announced as, this is what we're looking for now. Be very clearly
rather than you get there on the day and you're not what they're doing. Because obviously FMG with the rebrand as well, they've introduced a handful of new categories. I don't know how much of a handful. I'm not super invested in FMG, but that's interesting. Makes you wonder if it's because it's clearly just money making, but so we've got to be honest with ourselves, don't we? But that'll be interesting to see how that goes, actually. They're quite cool shows.
They run a great show.
But in regards to it actually being a show rather than a bodybuilding competition, it's good. It's good for the client or the competitor. It's just the only thing that I would say is the downfall for the competitor is how far they have to dig into their pockets.
But some of the show aspects that they run is things that I've looked at and brought into NBA. Making it a show is definitely something they're very good at.
Because I quite like, there's like not a pre-judging, but like there's judging in the morning and then the judging of the evening. It gives it like that Olympia feel. Something you don't really see. And like I was saying before as well, like with some of the other shows, I've seen them like announce winners so fast that there's no way that they can embrace that moment. Especially in like one of the Brisbane IFBB show, like because they had such a big cohort of competitors, it was very much like third place, second place, third place, first place. Like that within like a minute. you know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah,
so that's what I thought. I thought with the WBF FMG, the fact that they really embrace that is nice.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Um, but obviously, yeah, that'll be a different one. That'll be interesting to see.
yeah.
Is your ambition to sort of be at the top of the natural competitive world in Australia?
Yeah, in Australia,
Yeah.
want, yeah, want to be the not necessarily the biggest fed,
Yeah.
but the best fed.
Yeah.
So, you know, the way our shows run, 300 competitor shows would be very like it's doable, but it'd be some long days.
Yeah.
So you know, being the biggest isn't necessarily the goal, but being considered the best
Mm.
be the goal.
In that instance, I guess you could split it into 2 days, but I must admit, like I like them all being on the same day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
2 day shows,
Fun.
like yeah, yeah. It does both sides lose a little bit of the element. So,
I
but
just look, I just noticed because ICN obviously split it into two, which I'm not sure they've done recently. I'm just trying to think back.
our
Whatever.
nationals was 2 days as well this year.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was, wasn't
yeah. It
it?
was the first time I've done a 2 day show, and I
Yeah.
learned a few things with that. But
I feel like by missing out, like for example, for the all male show with no girls there, you miss out on a certain vibe.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? I actually think the all girls show has a little bit of a better vibe than the all male show.
yeah, yeah.
Definitely, actually. Yeah.
Generally, and again, very generally,
Yeah.
girls will bring about double the friends to watch them
Of
than the
course they will.
boys
Yeah.
will.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's going to be more atmosphere for the girls' show than the guys' show.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah,
definitely what I noticed. Yeah.
yeah,
And I also noticed as well the girls get a little bit more excited.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, because I've always said, yeah, I always realize that. And sometimes it's even like sometimes I enjoy coaching girls more than guys. It does depend who we're talking about.
yeah,
But it just seems a little bit more like an exciting process where guys sort of have that bit more of a competitive edge to them.
yeah,
They're more hardwired, so you don't get like those laughs and that bubbly nature about it. That's
yeah,
my take on it anyway.
yeah.
Um,
I know what you mean.
I've equally enjoyed coaching males and females, but that's something I definitely noticed. The girls are a little bit more lighthearted with it.
Yeah.
Guys hate losing, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like guys cannot be like they can say they're happy for the next best, but like typically they're on the inside like dying,
Yeah,
as opposed to girls. Maybe they're the same, but I've found in my experience they definitely play it off better.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. Um, yeah, and what would you say, like what would you consider was the most rewarding experience of the last competitive season?
Um, the, I couldn't put it down to one particular experience, but yeah, the season as a whole was like getting through to the 2 day nationals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I, I can't actually think of any one particular experience.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah,
felt I felt the pro shows would run really well.
yeah, yeah. The pro
Yeah.
shows were great.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the like enjoyable rather than with rewarding. The
Yeah.
battle for first and second in the men's bodybuilding pro
Yeah.
was like an epic battle.
I didn't watch that.
Yeah, and like the way we pulled the top two out, and like it was legitimately the closest to a draw I've ever had judging bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So where when things are close between two competitors, we'll score pose for pose. So front double buys is 1 point, side chest is 1 point.
Yeah.
After 8 poses, two guys had four points each.
Okay.
Went round again, it was 4 points each. I went
Yeah.
to symmetry. One had a better front and back, the other had a better side pose, both sides.
Mm.
So it was really, really hard to split the two.
Yeah.
Like it was a difficult to judge, but very fun to do as well. Like it was super enjoyable. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a great experience.
Mm.
And both guys up on stage also came back saying how great the experience was for them to actually get that stage time and and be judged fairly, and know that the judges put everything into getting it right.
Mhm.
So
I've always liked when they do pull out the top two and then they do compare them.
yeah,
Demoralizing for everyone else, but
yeah,
for them, it's like a proper battle. You don't see that often.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like, and it wasn't just for show. It was literally we couldn't split them, and we needed to do it.
yeah. I'm actually finding that lately the natural competitors are becoming, I guess, more and more competitive.
Yeah, yeah,
It's been
definitely.
nice. Like one of the boys that was an ICN pro, he competed at the WA IFBB show and he won it, the state show,
Yeah,
and he was natural.
yeah,
Um, an amazing body. You could see why he wasn't a chance in going further in IFBB because he just didn't have that grainy conditioning.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's just I remember seeing him on stage. 'Cause I've seen photos of him, and then I watched him in person. I was like, um, great physique. But yeah, I feel like that's something that's really stepped up lately as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the quality of, especially in bodybuilding, you know,
bodybuilding standard is like for natural feds is high.
yeah.
You
And I
almost
think like we're getting to that point, like some of these guys in their early to mid 30s started bodybuilding at 15.
yeah,
They've been doing 15 to 20 years of natural bodybuilding. You know, when I was 30 and competed, I'd done it for 5 years.
yeah,
I was a footballer, who trained weights but wasn't doing bodybuilding. You
mm,
know, so
yeah,
I think we're hitting some new levels with these guys that they actually have been bodybuilders for 15, 20 years.
mm,
Yeah. So
yeah. Because I'd really love to see a little bit more affiliation with like overseas networks,
yeah,
just in all federations as well.
yeah,
Because even like with the IFBB competitors, it's rare to see someone take it overseas.
yeah.
And because there's such limits for pro cards, but in saying that too, I do believe, just correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure how if you're into it too much. With IFBB, you do need to qualify here to compete in an overseas show.
Um, I think that's changed as a so for an amateur they do need to.
Yeah,
Pros, because there's no now pro show here, they can go overseas.
yeah. But I feel like that would just been all feds if that was a bigger option or a more publicized option to travel and compete against some of the best,
Yeah,
would make things a lot more exciting.
yeah,
Obviously, to be able to afford to travel,
yeah,
in at least 10 hours from anything
yeah.
close.
And like
Yeah,
pre-COVID, there was a bit more of that.
yeah,
Since COVID, obviously we couldn't, and
yeah,
since then the cost of travel is just so much more expensive. So
yeah.
it is that bit harder. But yeah, I think that will come back again in the next few years.
Yeah. Do you like sort of look at like the UK, for example, and use that as a model for where you're at?
Yeah, UK, US,
Mm.
they're two I look at a fair bit.
Yeah.
See, what the trends are, what's going on.
Mm. Yeah. And what do you kind of see at the moment as like the fastest growing category?
Um, Fastest growing in the men's classic physique.
Yeah.
For in Australia, men's fitness is actually growing really quickly.
Yeah.
So
I,
yeah,
I feel like the men's fitness is growing. This is my view. You tell me what you think. Like we've obviously already discussed that elevation in competitive standards. And I feel like that men's fitness allows like entry level competitors to compete without the restriction of having to be a certain level of muscularity.
yeah,
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 as opposed to realistically in classic, they'd probably get away with it. Um, but everyone wants to win in their first show.
yeah,
Well, not you don't necessarily want to win. You just want to be in the mix.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and obviously the bodybuilding standard. I noticed this season the bodybuilding standard is like, all right, it's almost like so. I have a roster of like 60 competitors, and I don't think there's one natural competitor on that roster who I would say has what it takes to do bodybuilding, at least at this point in time.
yeah,
Like they need to. Like I've got one guy who's quite muscular, and another guy as well who are both doing classic, but like one's 23, pretty new to it, and one's 19. So they'll
yeah,
get there. But like
yeah,
it's interesting to think like let's say out of those 60, I have like 42, 43 who are naturals. So that means there's literally two that I would think could actually do open bodybuilding.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to think of it.
Plus your brother.
Yeah, no, James actually moved back to men's physique.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just because of the leg development issue.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a leg development issue. It's just they do struggle to develop, and he feels like he can have a good crack at men's physique.
Yep.
He
That'll
always
be
loved
interesting.
bodybuilding. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so he'll be doing your show as well. He's doing.
Yep.
He wants to do as much as he can, but we're basically going to do A and B, MBA, and then the ICN in that order. So like the
Yep.
20th, 12th, and the 19th. But we're hoping that the A and B would be more of like a practice run.
Yep.
Sounds horrible, but like just
Uh,
a bit more intricate talk. But I don't want to peak him hard for that first show.
yeah.
In my experience, I find when you do peak a competitor for that first show, you sometimes lose that look or have to work back into it after it.
Yeah.
So I'd
Yeah.
rather treat it like a linear process, refeed him, and then you know what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say. Yeah.
Especially when a natural competitor and there's 6 to 8 weeks between show one and show
Yeah.
three.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
Looking perfect show one isn't necessarily the best option.
no, so because I definitely learned that with last season. But the only other thing I noticed, obviously he knows what he's doing. This will be his third show. With a first time competitor, if you put them in that first show and you really try to peak them as like this is like in a very important show, they often get to the end of it and it's almost like they have that sense of like, all right, I've completed this. So they tend to go off and binge.
Yeah.
So by reshifting that to like, okay, cool, this is just like a mid part of our process. We want to do like a refeed like we usually would, like as in just for the process. And then up there, you might be undone. I just think that works better for me.
Yeah.
And if he does well, great. But we're not fussed in which shows we do well.
Yeah.
Just want to pick the timeline right because he's doing men's physique to win men's physique.
Yeah.
He's not doing. He'd rather do bodybuilding, but like the idea of doing men's physique, he thinks he can be competitive.
Yeah.
Because he likes men's physique, though he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he wanted to do IFBB as well, but we'll see. Yeah,
See how you go.
yeah. I just said to him, we're probably better off not because he would have to fly to Sydney for that. So we said we're probably better off just relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just because of date clashes or
yeah, date clashes.
yeah.
Yeah, and Isabel's doing the IFBB in Sydney.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that should be interesting. But yeah, we should have a fair few for the NBA show. We should have at least 10 actually.
Yeah.
That would be nice. It's just like
Yeah.
I've said before, with the because it's quite a long season. If they were to do the first show around the 14th or the 20th, because I've got a few that want to do the expo, I worry that 4 weeks. I feel like if they place well in that first show, it's no problems. Like, yeah, we keep going 4 weeks. But if they don't, it's going to be a case of putting them out of that hole and saying, "Come on, just keep going." And no one enjoys that.
Yeah. No, it's can be a tough process.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So what can we expect for the next season?
Yep. So yeah, we're looking at like season again, very similar to the last one. Couple of things I am changing. I'm going to look at rather than like how our running order where in the show one we'll call it the we'll say or bikini and fitness were on together, and it would alternate bikini first timers, fitness first timers, etc. I'm just going to run straight through each category, so all bikini, all fitness, etc., and just see if that's a little bit more smooth to try and nail down the running order a little bit better and get some better timings for the shows. See if that personally I prefer the way it has run, but the shows have been running quite late, so looking at changing that just to make it a little bit smoother. That's the only major thing. So yeah,
it's a tough one to say which is better because sometimes it's nice to have that gap up between like one showing and the next.
Yeah.
Other times that gap up can really muck around with meal timing, fluids, and stuff like that.
So sometimes the gap can be an hour and a half. Like if you did first timers or beginners, and then you're coming back for opens or the overall, it can be an hour and a half to 2 hours. A lot can change in that. Where if it's straight through, it's probably going to be an hour at most.
Yeah.
So that'll that So yeah, we'll see how it runs. I'm not sold on one or the other being better. So I'm gonna try it and just see how the day goes and roll with that. Um,
That'll be interesting.
yeah,
Yeah. I forgot that these sort of alternated last season.
yeah,
Um, yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, because like I said, yeah. No. Either way will work. It comes down to probably just making sure you can coach well around whatever way you go about it. Anyway.
yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, for me, I found with the longer gaps, it's just easier to not have such a extravagant loading period.
yeah.
Yeah, for the competitors, or it's a bit of a freak out.
Yeah. And like where that sometimes you'll get someone do look great in beginners and then they come back for the overall and they look totally different.
Yeah,
We
that's
don't want that.
yeah.
Like, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree because I was gonna say before, like it's a benefit because if you come into your first not looking your best, like or the best that you could, then you have like an hour and a half to improve it. But if
yeah,
you do absolutely nail it, then it's like, all right, now I'm gonna hold this. And holding it's like stressful.
yeah. Holding's almost harder than improving.
Yeah. It's I think it's harder because you're sort of stuck on what to do.
Yeah,
Just got to keep monitoring. When you're going to improve, it's like, all right, cool. And worst case scenario, if you're looking to improve, you can generally as well. I was going to say it sounds bad. I'll just say what I was going to say. You're generally a little bit more accepting if you do slip a little bit more.
yeah,
Yeah. So if you did have that first look and you're like, all right, this isn't good enough. If you were to try something and then slip, it's sort of like, well, we tried. But if you went from a perfect look to a deteriorated look, that's when it's like, fuck, like.
yeah, yeah. I
Mm.
get what you mean.
Yeah, because I've been on sort of both sides of that. But yeah, definitely the whoever whatever way it goes, I guess everyone will adapt.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. So yeah, as a matter of fact, actually, I have a competitor doing a Queensland show as well, so I'll be there for that too.
yeah.
Yeah, that's in the same venue, Brisbane.
Yeah, it will
Yeah,
be. Yeah,
yeah, because I did not convince her to do that. I sort of showed her the shows, and I said I can be here for this date,
yeah,
do it, and she was all over it. So
yeah. No,
yeah.
that's great.
I'll be there from the Sunday morning for the IFBB show through to the next Sunday.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll obviously try to make an appearance for the entire thing and
yeah.
collect some data.
Sounds good.
Not an easy man to get a hold of on show day, though.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah,
running around doing 1,000 things.
yeah, yeah. Do you have others helping you with everything besides
Um,
or staff, like someone in more of
yeah,
a position?
like in each state, I've got
Mm.
core staff doing all the main
Yeah,
roles.
yeah,
Queensland is where I've got the same, yeah, the same people have been doing it for longer, so
yeah,
it becomes a bit smoother.
yeah,
But yeah, I've got core people doing the main roles to make sure the day still flows.
mhm,
Yeah, because
yeah,
once the show starts, I'm judging. Like I'm not able to fix moving someone from one division to another, or
mhm,
if something happens, I've got other people dealing with that.
yeah, mhm, yeah. No, cool. So just for reference for everyone, 28th of April, Queensland show.
Yeah,
Yep, in Brizzy. 11th and 12th of May, Vic/Nationals.
yeah,
New South Wales 4th or 5th?
yeah. Fifth.
5th. Okay.
Yeah.
Was what else was there?
There's Tas in South Australia. So
So,
Tas is the week before Queensland,
yeah, mhm,
and South Australia. So Queensland's on the Saturday,
yeah,
and um, Adelaide's on the Sunday of that same weekend.
yeah. Because I always encourage people if there's a show in proximity and you really want to do well at the show, travel to the shows prior. And obviously with the Nationals being in Melbourne, if you are in Melbourne, half an hour flight to Tassie, hour flight to South Australia.
Yeah,
Kicked off, not a bad one. Good little trip as well.
yeah.
Probably the Tassie one's probably even easier.
Tassie's a great show too. Like it's a real
Yeah,
vibe down there.
I've
So
had a couple of inquiries. I haven't got any clients from Tassie, but I've had a couple of inquiries from Tassie
yeah,
who did the NBA show.
yeah.
Um, yeah, one actually signed up, and then the next day she ripped tendons off her finger. uh,
Ouch.
14 weeks
Yeah,
recovery. Yeah, she had to get them surgically reattached.
Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think like, yeah, because Tassie, I always try to pick a show earlier, but it often doesn't align, but that Tassie one works pretty perfectly.
Yeah.
Was it the 21st or the 20th, Tassie?
I'll pull up on my calendar to give the right info.
Have to make sure, eh?
Yeah. So yeah, Launceston 20th of April, Brisbane 27th, Adelaide 28th, Sydney 5th of May, Melbourne 12th of May.
Where's the Sydney venue, sorry?
So Bankstown Sports, which is yeah,
Still,
so yeah.
yeah, because I'm pretty sure the IFBB show is right in the CBD.
Yeah, so it's a good venue, the IFBB
Oh,
one.
see, I'm excited for that because I haven't been. I'm not excited for the price of the Airbnb that I have to rent, but that's okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that location is very expensive for accommodation.
it
So
is. We've
yeah,
got to, if we have enough of us, we'll just share a big place.
yeah. The good thing, so Bankstown Sports is actually so it's a sports club, but so the venues are theatre similar, slightly smaller than Clock Tower, but very similar,
Yep.
tiered seating, etc. But there's a hotel on site. There's 5 restaurants on site. Like when I go, I don't leave the venue for 3 days.
If that
So
works. Yeah.
yeah, so
Mm.
no, it's really good for that and decent priced hotel. So travel wise, it's actually a good one to travel to.
Mm. Cool. Yeah. You born in Melbourne or you born in?
No, I was born in Canberra.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you've told me before. This was
Yeah,
spoken.
so
We've had
moved
a
to
few, we've had a few
Brisbane.
back and forths. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Always been just for anyone listening as well. You're always very supportive with the feedback.
yeah,
Like even expectation. I think I called you a couple of times just to get a little bit more clarity around criteria with some competitors, and you're pretty good with it.
yeah, yeah. Especially like before a show,
Yeah.
if you're not sure what division someone should be in, get some good photos and let me see them. Yeah,
Yeah.
1 to 2 weeks out, so I can see the actual condition they're in, and then we can make sure they're in the right category.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because for me, the most demoralizing thing or the worst thing you can do for a competitor is put them in the wrong place.
yeah,
They could look so good and then they're just not in the right place. Like I saw that happen actually at A&B a fair bit. But I think that was just being like the first show of the season where people were just coaches were not sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it, but yeah, when you see someone amazing in the wrong category, it is heartbreaking because they've put all the effort in. You know they'd place well in X category, but they're in Y, and you've got to place them last.
Yeah. I've had
Right?
a guy before who really wanted to do men's fitness and he was so big for men's fitness and he placed last.
Yeah,
And then when he walked off stage, one of the judges actually approached him and said, "Are you doing anything else?" And he said, "No." Nah. And they said, like, but it was his decision. He just wanted to do it to get some nice photos.
yeah,
I told him to do classic, but I think the problem was his posing wasn't up to speed because he just wasn't on top of his posing. This was
yeah,
quite early on in my career. So,
yeah,
yeah, but it's saying that, man, you tell someone, go do posing, go do posing. You tell them 20 times, and then the 21st time, it's like, if you don't want to listen, then
yeah,
yeah. Now I'm too proud to let that happen. Now, if that was happening, I'd say you either do your posing or you're fucking not representing me. Like, that would be my take.
yeah,
But back then, I remember I was just reached a point where I'm like, I'm not getting through to him. So,
yeah,
but yeah, it happens. It happens. And yeah, you see it time and time again.
yeah. That's exactly why we've got the height and weight limit for men's physique,
Yeah.
so that you don't end up with someone who sorry, men's fitness. So
Yeah.
you don't end up with someone who should be in physique doing fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, cool. Well, thanks for jumping on, man. I appreciate it.
No
And
worries.
if there's anything else you want to add or anything you want to tell anyone who's listening,
I think we've gone through
I
everything.
recommend it too. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to go to the end of this.
Yeah. I always go off on tangents in these, so we end up
Yeah.
covering everything.
Yeah. I would have really liked to have done a critique of different categories, but I reckon we could save that for another time.
Yep.
Yeah, we'd need to be pretty prepared for that too.
Yeah, I can do that another
Yeah.
time,
I
definitely.
feel like because I did ask one of the other feds to do that with me, and they said no.
Yeah.
But I just said, oh well, what would be better than like sort of just going through some winners and losers, I guess, and sort of picking why this person won, why this person lost, because then I'm like the upcoming competitors will know exactly what to sort of strive for, and they won't be disappointed with their results either if it doesn't
Yeah,
go their way. And yeah, but I thought it was a good idea. I'm assuming
yeah,
you didn't have the idea either.
yeah. Well, I've done similar on another
I know
podcast.
you have. Yeah.
Yeah, the post comp review. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely happy to do that.
Yeah. No, cool.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
yeah. No worries.